Alors bonsoir, bienvenue à cette réunion ordinaire et publique du Conseil municipal de Dieppe en ce 8 décembre 2014. Pour besoin de clarification, on aura une résolution ce soir annonçant que nous allons avoir une autre réunion du Conseil qui n'était pas normalement.
Good evening and welcome. We had a meeting that was not foreseen. Usually in December you only have one meeting.
Et pour l'adoption du budget, c'est la semaine prochaine. It will go for next week, so we'll be adopting the budget next week, Tuesday, exceptionally Tuesday, because it wasn't anticipated. There was a lot of engagement from the commitment from members of council for the 15th. So this exceptionally will have a meeting on Tuesday, the 16th at 7 p.m. So without further ado, for the prayer of opening, give me, God, the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. So we have quorum. We have a complete council, actually, tonight. Sorry. Declaration of conflicts of interests. Members, nothing to be declared. So for the adoption of the agenda, if I could have a resolution by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Godette, that we adopt the agenda as it is presented. On the question. No questions. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. It is carried. Presentations, inquiries, 7.1. We have a presentation by United Way for the Greater Moncton area. So we welcome Lisette Michaud-Carrier. Good evening. It's always a pleasure. Good evening, Your Worship and councillors. Thank you for welcoming us here. For those who know me, who don't know me, I'm Lisette Michaud-Carrier. I'm the Vice President Regional for RBC, for the Southeast region of New Brunswick and PEI. I also have the honor of being the chair of the 2014 campaign for United Way. I'd like to thank you, first of all, for your support and the support that you give your employees in the municipality of Dieppe the whole year, but especially for the recent campaign. This year, the city of Dieppe has had a successful campaign. It's with pleasure that I announce tonight that the total amount is of $10,110, which represents an increase of 24% over last year. A total of 29 donation givers as opposed to 2013. So your participation rate is now 31% of your staff, which we consider a fantastic success. Thank you. At United Way, we contribute in the change of community for the best in the southeast region of New Brunswick. And long term, all the money collected is reinvested in Albert, Kent, and Westmoreland counties. We know that the concerted efforts of United Way are necessary to make change in our community at all levels. This is why we collaborate with the agencies, the businesses, the different levels of government in order to collaborate collectively to enhance the quality of life of people in the region. We reinforce the capacity for nonprofit organizations in the area. We help them with their governance and with their reports on activity. Thanks to the generous contributions of the community, United Way has been able to fund 30 programs in the southeast region of New Brunswick through 28 different organizations in 2014. I'm proud to announce that the decision was made that in 2015 we will be funding 28 organizations, 30 projects. The official announcements of the agencies chosen will be published soon. Nonetheless, I can assure you that the agencies that were chosen work for the improvement of quality of life, for the success of youth, and for strong communities. I'd like to take this opportunity to talk to you about a special project. It has been important for United Ways. 2015 will be the third year for alternate teaching with the school district. This program has seen since its inception in the district and thanks to its success, and is now a model for learning that is applied everywhere in the province. It's a strategic partnership between multiple partners and United Way. In this model, the culture of entrepreneurs is set up very young. I'd like to take a couple of minutes to talk to you about it. This project is now found in a class of second grades. They've produced a book. The children have conceived, designed the book. Some of them were responsible for the control of quality, the other ones for the typesetting, for the other ones for settings. So there was car marketing, basically all elements to create and to produce a book from zero, from A to Z. And this is for second grade children. This is an example of the work of the agencies in our communities. So thanks to the help of our communities, we can help change lives, create possibilities for people who live in our beautiful region. You should know that with each changed life, someone has helped. So thank you for your contributions, generous contributions, and good evening. Thank you very much. Would there be questions by members of council on these activities? Other than to say kudos, and I think it's unanimous with members of council, and thank you very much for your own personal involvement. I think that you are probably busy day and evening during the whole campaign. It's very demanding, and congratulations to you for doing this. What's my pleasure is for the community. Thank you.
Alors, item 7.2 maintenant.
7.2, public hearing, proposed amendments, bylaw C13 relating to the establishment of controlled access streets within the city of Dieppe. Mr. Frenette, have we received letters of objections? So thank you, Your Worship. Tonight is a short presentation. As you know, at the last meeting, when we started the process, there were quite a few questions from council. I think we've had a lot of answers to the questions. So tonight, there are certain amendments, changes that we're suggesting for the engineering and planning services, all that concerning bylaw C13 relating to the establishment of controlled access streets within the city of Dieppe. Right now, there's just one access to Dieppe Boulevard, which is a controlled access. But in the future, there may be other streets, boulevards, or other sections of streets that could become part of this bylaw. So with the Planning Act, the personnel of the planning and engineering, they are suggesting amendments to render the document more easily readable and more easily interpretable. This is also with the PAC recommendations. We're going to be using the terminology of that organization as before it was with the GMPDC. Also concerning the structure and the sentences. So you've had a copy of what is being suggested, and the articles, Article 1, definitions, we are adding change that I just mentioned, but also we're adding access definitions, controlled access, temporary access, and Article 2, there are also specific examples to clarification on simple structure to facilitate the reading. Article 3 also, there is the question of I don't know if you have any questions concerning the changes. For Article 3, they're adding 3 exceptions to ease the approval for restricted access and without modifying the bylaws. So questions from members of council? And the interpreter did not have a copy of the changes. If not, thank you for the presentation. Would there be questions from the public? Not necessarily related to this, but we are now at item 8 on the agenda, questions by members of the public. No questions, so we continue. 9, adoption of minutes of the regular council meeting, November 24th, 2014. Councillor Thibodeau, moved by and seconded by Councillor Cormier on the question for the approval of the minutes. No question. November 24th. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. Item 10. Motions and nominations. 10.1. Administration. Mr. Melanson, Your Worship, members of council, good evening. By what was explained by Mayor Lapierre, we received the information from the province for the budget, so it was impossible to get all the information ready for tonight, so it's necessary to have a special council meeting, and it's suggested to have it on the 16th of December at 7 p.m. So this is for the public notice, and there will be the normal procedure for the information. And so for the reading of the resolution, Mr. Beliveau. Your Worship, that council scheduled a special council meeting on December 16th, 2014 at 7 p.m. Moved by Councillor Beliveau, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau on the question. Mr. Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. So in our kit, we're changing the date also because it's indicated as being 5:30. Yes, that's it. Reading as the was read 16th of December 2014 at 7 p.m. So no other questions. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. So thank you very much. It's carried. It's adopted as presented. Next item, 10.2.1, pilot project, domestic waste collection service. A little while ago, we were presented by a Mathieu Martin class, a possible project, and through an internal committee, we went through a think tank and we studied in depth the whole question as to what this class from Mathieu Martin concerning the collection of waste was discussed and studied, and we finally realized that it would be a good idea to look at the whole waste collection service. So the recommendation is to not follow up on this, but we have to continue our conversations with the Commission in order to make sure that there is a better value concerning initiatives. We've had good discussions. We wish to continue, but to put an end to the recommendation by Council, we bring forth this recommendation. At the same time, the envelope, the money, we are recommending you to put this on reserve for future initiatives, and we will be presenting in due time other projects in collaboration with the Westmoreland Solid Waste Commission. So this is for approval of council. And to go with the alternative. So for the reading of the resolution, Councillor Brideau. Your Worship, that Council accept the administration's recommendation not to proceed with the implementation of the domestic waste collection service pilot project, which was proposed last March for the reasons explained in the memorandum dated November 28th, 2014. That Council accept that the administration continued discussions with the Southeast Regional Service Commission, Westmoreland Albert Solid Waste Commission, in order to find alternatives to reduce our ecological footprint, and that the amount of $40,000 from account number 1-2-20-14-2150, Corporate Affairs, allocated for the project be transferred to the General Operating Reserve Fund. So moved. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Cormier. On the question, Mr. Beliveau. Thank you, Your Worship. First, I'd like to congratulate all those who took part in the different steps to lead to that led to today. And I would also like to express my regret that this project has not been able to go forward. It seems to me that it is a valuable project, and I will hope that we can either have it come forth again or invite citizens to offer suggestions to the municipalities. Maybe they, if there are regroupments, maybe who might want to do something in that sense, to get in touch with the administration and explain what they have and to see if there are possibilities with the municipality, even if it's not at such a large scale. So once again, I have to express my slight disappointment. I understand that there has to be a commitment and a support on the part of the residents for such a project. Thank you. Thank you, Madame Dallaire. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for the public who does not have access to the information that we have, there have been many steps done with the community to try to set up pilot projects, and it didn't seem that there was much of an appetite on the part of the citizens for this initiative. And the more we moved forward, by what I could understand from the documentation, it is not necessarily the best tool to reduce the greenhouse gases. So maybe it's a good idea to re-earmark these funds for other projects. Thank you. Councillor Godet. It was a good project. It had merit. What surprised me, and maybe I regret more than the fact that we can't gain from the collect the benefits that would be good for the community, it's the comments that we find in the evaluation, because the idea was that they could not find cooperation between neighbors. So often we say that we are a community who takes it to heart to work together, but all of a sudden when it's time to make a little bit of an effort and to be a little more aware of our neighbors and to be more cooperatives, we find closed doors. And the comments that I read in among a lot of them, basically this is what I think disappointed me the most, in the sense that we didn't seem to be ready to want to make a collective effort to improve a project or a service that could have been a good one. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Godet. Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. I saw that in the point H communication plan, we talk about well, if there were a positive recommendation, the decision would be told to the residents. I think that the results should be communicated to Mathieu Martin's school, and I think we should thank them for their suggestion, and we should encourage them to continue doing something like this, which is very civic-oriented, civic-minded, even if they are not the same students there. Even if they've graduated from university, that's what I'm told. So, yeah, it's been that long. It's a file that we picked up again from a previous administration. So most of these students who participated in this have graduated university. So anyway, we should communicate with them and tell them how positive it was. Thank you. Yes, in fact, it is regrettable, but there still has been some positive that has been taken out. I believe that future plans from the Waste Commission, Westmoreland, I believe that they have learned from this project. And I know that discussions are held. There are changes in the administration at the Westmoreland Commission. They're recruiting actually a new general manager. So I would hope that with the information that we will be able to give them, they will be able to find a direction, because I know that the city of Moncton, as we do with apartment blocks, the commercial aspect, there's much potential in the recycling field, and I am convinced that we will come out winners in the long run. But it's going to be an uphill battle, because it's the whole of the southeast. It's a regional commission now, so it's not just Dieppe, Riverview, and Moncton. It's the whole southeast that is involved. That we're renewing contracts with Kent County. There's another region also that evades me at this point, but it's an industry that is going to be very important in the future in our region, and I'm convinced that long term we will come out winners. So thank you to members of councillors. Now for the resolution, all those in favor, nonetheless, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. So the resolution is accepted. The recommendation is accepted as presented. Next item. The shuttle service contract extension. We have a contract with Maurice Richard since 2013, so it's for renewal for the next year till the 31st of December 2015. That's the shuttle for public transit. Yes. So for the reading of the resolution, Councillor Thibodeau.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. Que le Conseil autorise la prolongation.
That Council authorize an extension to the shuttle service contract with Maurice Richard until 31st of December 2015 in accordance with the terms outlined in the contract attached to the memorandum dated December 1st, 2014. So moved, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Leblanc. On the question, Madame Dallaire. Thank you, Your Worship. My observations. In the information that we've received, we heard about possible change in April. I just wanted to clarify that this, for tonight, this is just for information. It's not for a consideration or a decision tonight. This is what Mr. Richard is indicating. Thank you, Councillor Béliveau. Thank you, Your Worship. First, I'm very happy to see that the service that is going to be extended. It's a bilingual service. It's always very encouraging to see people who respect the language policy of Dieppe. So congratulations, and we're happy to see that we've got a favorable response. Thank you, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. Just to mention something that I believe is just a typo in the upcoming recommendations. Shuttle 93 and number 3, reduce the service of Shuttle 95. Should it not be 93?
Quelle page?
What page?
Mon Dieu. 74. 75, c'est-à-dire. On a les recommandations à venir. Puis,
Upcoming recommendations in the Shuttle 93. I. Yeah, it's probably a typo. Yes, typo, probably. Yeah, that's what I presumed. Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. So the resolution is adopted as presented. Planning and Development 10.3.1. Proposed amendments, rezoning agreement, Fox Creek Community Project, that Council accept the recommendation submitted by the Personnel Planning and Development Department, and that the amendment, the rezoning agreement dated 23, registered at the Registry Office, and that related to the zoning bylaws 96, 4836, registered also at the Registry Office. That the Council will accept that the application be subject to Article 39 of Community Planning Act, and we have conditions that follow through. I don't know if you wanted them to be part of the the whole reading, the recommendation by Council, or do you want us to explain it in detail? Go ahead. So, following conditions: that an amending subdivision plan eliminating the private park and recreational area be submitted to the approval, that the rezoning agreement entitled Fox Creek Golf Community Project Rezoning Agreement be amended as follows. So the agreement be repealed and replaced with the following: that be developed in accordance with the tentative plan, plan entitled Amending Subdivision Plan, Terramine Development Inc., which is amending plan 163-07226, situated on the side of Boulevard Dieppe Boulevard, south side of Rue de Golfe Street, and north side of Rue Landry Court, City of Dieppe. So also that no vehicular access shall be developed on Golf Street and Andrea Court. A 10-meter wide buffer zone consisting of mature trees shall be maintained in perpetuity along the property lines in the abutting residential properties on Gulf Street and Andrea Court. Okay. Repealed will be subsections 1, 2, and 1.3, and 1.4 is also repealed, renumbered under subsection 1, 2, and replaced by the following. All uses of land pursuant to the agreement shall conform with Schedule B and with the applicable provisions of the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw and effect at the time of execution of the agreement, except as otherwise provided herein. And subsections 1, parentheses 5 to 115 are renumbered under subsections 1.3 to 1.13. Minimum density of 35 units per net hectare be required as per net hectare be required as multiple until dwellings if this type of unique use development is chosen for this site. And the Council accept that the amending rezoning agreement entitled Fox Street Golf Community Project amending rezoning agreement, which reflects the above noted proposed amendments.
Posé. Alors, la particularité ici,
The Planning Committee recommends an amendment, and staff recommends that we accept this recommendation. Thank you. Now for the reading of the resolution as such. Mrs. Dallaire. The Council accept the recommendation submitted by the personnel of the Planning and Development Department pursuant to Article 66 of the Community Planning Act and proposed during the meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee held on November 19, 2014, relating to the amendments to the rezoning agreement dated April 23, 2003, registered at the Registry Office under number 16298870 on May 26, 2003, and related to zoning bylaw number 964836, registered at the Registry Office under number 16298870 on May 26, 2013. Be it resolved that Council accept that the said application be subject to Article 39 of the Community Planning Act with the following conditions. A. That an amending subdivision plan eliminating the private park and recreational area note be submitted to the approval of the Planning and Development Department. B. That the rezoning agreement entitled Fox Creek Golf Community Project Rezoning Agreement be amended as follows. Subsection 1 brackets 1 of the agreement is repealed and replaced with the following. 1 brackets 1. The land shall generally be developed in accordance with the tentative subdivision plan entitled Amending Subdivision Plan, Terra Mine Development, Inc., Amending Plan 163072226, situated on the west side of Boulevard Dieppe Boulevard, south side of Rue du Golfe Street, and north side of Ruelle Andrea Court, City of Dieppe, Parish of Moncton, County of Westmoreland, Province of New-Brunswick, a copy of which is attached to the present agreement as Schedule B, and that Lot 0331 shown on the said tentative subdivision plan be subject to the following conditions. A. No vehicular access shall be developed on Gulf Street and Andrea Court. B. A 10-meter wide buffer zone consisting of mature trees shall be maintained in perpetuity along the property lines of the abutting residential properties of Gulf Street and Andrea Court. Subsections 1 bracket 2 and 1 bracket 3 are repealed. Subsection 1 brackets 4 is repealed, renumbered under subsection 1 brackets 2 are replaced with the following. 1 brackets 2. All uses of land pursuant to the agreement shall conform with Schedule B and with the applicable provisions of the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw in effect at the time of execution of the agreement, except as otherwise provided herein. Subsections 1 brackets 5 to 1 brackets 15 are renumbered under subsections 1 brackets 3 to 1 brackets 13, and that a minimum density of 35 units per net hectare be required as multiple unit dwellings if this type of unit use development is chosen for this site. And be it resolved that Council accept also the amending rezoning agreement entitled Fox Creek Golf Community Project Amending Rezoning Agreement, which reflects the above noted proposed amendments. I so move. Thank you, Mrs. Delap. Moved by Councillor Delare and seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. One of the items you refer to respecting access from Andrea and du Golfe, was that part of the original agreement or were these points added? These were added. So we must think that the only access to this lot will be on Boulevard Dieppe. Yes, after the analysis that was done internally with engineering respecting density with 35 net hectares, it was a high density area as proposed in the municipal plan, which was studied. On the other side of Boulevard Dieppe, there's a possibility of having an access way there too. So this arrangement is in conformity with all the security measures? Yes. Thank you. Mrs. Tada. Thank you, Your Worship. Can we elaborate a bit on what the discussions were that led to these variations with the personnel so we could understand what's going on? Yes. We have a rezoning process and we have notices in the newspapers. The people come to public meetings and give their comments and say whether they're for or against the project. And at that time, it was October 14th, and then we send letters within 100 meter in the neighborhood. And afterwards, one person called us. And we had mentioned that on October 14th, but during the meeting of the 6th, the responsibility of the planning committee was to make a recommendation to the council and to follow a process with plans and recommendations. And the responsibility of the committee is that the project is in conformity with the bylaws that are applicable in the municipality. So the role of the committee is to recommend to the council. However, during that evening, a person from the neighborhood came to oppose the conditions respecting high density and an apartment building, as was proposed by the developer. The developer was present that evening, and he said it wasn't his intention to build a semi-detached or row housing. The members of the planning committee wanted to give that option, but the engineering department did not recommend it. It's against our municipal plan, so it wasn't our intention either. But following comments from a citizen in the neighborhood who used this evening to tell us he didn't want a department building there in his backyard. So it's after that the members of the commission decided to remove this condition. They're there to give you their recommendation, and if it's in conformity with the general plan. Thank you. Are there any other questions? If not, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. The resolution is carried as presented. Next item, 10.3.2. This is a rezoning project on Boulevard Dieppe. That's the acceptation of the recommendation of Planning Advisory Committee to proceed with the zoning map and the development plan with conditions attached. One is that the agreement in principle for the sale of land be finalized before registration of bylaws, and the parcel created be amalgamated to the land located north owned by the applicant, that the development permit be issued, that the asphalt trail which exists along Dieppe Boulevard and portion of lands for public purposes be relocated on Dieppe Boulevard at the expense of the developer, that the developer respect the site plan entitled Site Plan Dieppe, which is at Appendix 1, and that the resolution adopted by Council on January 20th be amended to eliminate the condition with stipulations that a buffer of 15 feet be reserved around the parking lot and that trees be planted in that zone, and that the following conditions set out in the transfer be registered at the registry office on April 24th, 2002 be eliminated, and that everything else be in conformity with the zoning bylaw. For the reading of the resolution, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. The Council accepts the recommendation of the Planning Advisory Committee dated November 19, 2014, relating to an amendment to the future land use map, municipal development plan, and the zoning map, zoning bylaw relating to a portion of the property identified under PID 70360151 in order to permit a commercial development of several commercial buildings. Be it further resolved, the Council accept that the application be subject to Article 39 of the Community Planning Act with the following terms and conditions. A, that the agreement in principle for the sale of the land for public purposes be finalized before the registration of the bylaws. B, that the parcel created be amalgamated to the land located north owned by the applicant before the development permit is issued. C, that the asphalt trail which exists along the Dieppe Boulevard and on a portion of the lands for public purposes be relocated on the Dieppe Boulevard right-of-way at the expense of the developer. D, that the development respect the site plan entitled Site Plan Dieppe, New-Brunswick, Cobalt, November 4th, 2014, as indicated in Appendix 1. E, that the resolution adopted by the Municipal Council on January 28, 2002 be amended in order to eliminate the condition which stipulates that a buffer of 15 feet be reserved around the parking lot and that trees be planted in that zone. F, that the following conditions set out in the transfer relating to Lot 021 identified under PID 70373212, registered at the Registry Office on April 24, 2002, under number 14038971, be eliminated. The grantee hereby consents and agrees to upkeep and maintain a 5-meter wide green space area, such as trees and shrubberies along Dieppe Boulevard extension, from the entrance to the grantee's lands on said Dieppe Boulevard extension to the southerly boundary line of said lands, and that all other developments comply with the provisions of the zoning bylaw in effect. And be it further resolved, the Council proceed with the first and second readings of bylaws Z626 and Z840. I so move. Thank you, Councillor Thibodeau. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Delao. For the question, Mr. Thibodeau, Mr. Williville. On page 131, there seems to be two statements that are contradictory. E, that the resolution adopted by Municipal Council on January 28, 2002 be amended. And then afterwards, it says that in F, the consent and the grantee hereby consents and agrees to upkeep and maintain a 5-meter wide green space. Will there be shrubberies or trees? A buffer zone, will it be 5 meters or 30 meters? If it's 15 feet, is there a buffer zone? At Annex 1, you see the side plan for conditions that meet the requirements. You can see land for public purposes, and the buffer zone belongs to the municipality. What is in green, the 30 meters, will be reserved, and it still belongs to the municipality. The 15 meters and 5 meters are conditions in the agreement respecting the building, and the Department of the Environment is present in this. They wanted to enlarge the parking lot, but at that time there were conditions in place that had to meet the 15 meters and 5 meters with Boulevard Dieppe. This buffer zone has priority of 30 meters, but it still belongs to the municipality. So respecting 5 and 15, so I can understand where the 30-meter is situated, but between the zone that is being developed now in purple, will there be a buffer zone between the properties because those houses are already built there? Will there be a buffer zone? At the time being, our conditions that we're imposing are on land that is going to be rezoned, but here the zoning is good. So the zoning bylaw at the time being is at 2 meters. If it's a commercial development, then they will be limited to a residential zone, and we must respect the bylaw that is in place. Right now, we can impose a zone, a buffer zone, but there's going to be something visual between the properties that we see in white and what we see in purple. Thank you for that explanation. Are there any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The resolution is carried as adopted. Now we're at item 10.4, Public Works and Engineering. 10.4 wide crack ceiling 2014. Work was done 7 or 8 streets within the municipality on Dieppe Boulevard, Belançon, Rotary Park at Saint-Asim, Boulevard Dieppe, Chartersville Road, Eunice and Lorette. So all that, we're asking the council to authorize the payment of an AVL construction group of $82,000, 155 and 24 cents. It's in the budget at the time being. For the resolution, Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. The Council authorized the payment of an invoice to AVL Construction Group, Inc. in the amount of $82,155.24 plus HST for the 2014 crack ceiling, and that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 1-2-35-58-2585. I so move. Moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Nolan. For the question, Councillor Godet. I noticed that we filled a lot of cracks, sealed a lot of cracks on the streets. That's excellent. The evaluation of the service, is it good, or are we just waiting until we go through the first winter before we pass judgment? We've already done the crack sealing in the past. This was the 3rd year, and the performance is good until now. Is it important for you to evaluate if we pass one winter? Yes. As far as we know, we've had no problems to date with the former work that was done. I think it's better than the former years. There's less rising, as I noticed. I don't know if that is your general evaluation. But the winters that we have with the temperature rising and falling and freezing, and still water that will accumulate and freezes over and thaws out. Councillor Béliveau, on page 48, where we speak of section C, history and context, we talk about Melanson Road, Dover Park, Boulevard Dieppe. I said the Pacaterie in Saint-Asim. My second question as I understand it, we've had no proposals. We received an estimate of $50,000, and the bill we received is more than 82,000. Was it because that we've added something, or did the estimate include all the work we wanted to do? So why is there a difference of $32,000? With estimates, you can appreciate that with crack sealing on the road, we can't measure each meter where we want to seal the cracks. So it's only approximate, this estimate, as well as the length that can vary. And also it depends on the depth of the crack, which is unknown. Sometimes it takes more material to fill it. We wanted to do it well, and we wanted the work to be finished before winter as well, because they were important streets. Is it usual to not properly estimate the quantity of material that would be necessary, because there's a difference of almost 40%. They thought that they could do it with $50,000, and now we're looking at 82,000. We do an estimate. The estimate came from staff, not from the contractor. And the way we do the estimates, we don't go and measure each crack in the road. We take a certain section and do the measurements. And then we try to average it out. In this case, probably was underestimated. Thank you, Mr. Belleville. Mr. Cadet, following this explanation, what, in these cracks on the streets, do you take out the sand or garbage that could be in there, whatever dirt that's in there, before you fill it? We clean it. We do it under pressure. Thank you for that explanation. If there are no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The resolution is carried. 10.4.2. With relation. Installation approval on-site sewage disposal system at 2158 Champlain Street. We received a request from MP Atlantic to build a building of 42 square feet. The municipal services are not close. It has to be in conformity with the Department of Environment. And if the service, the sanitary sewer services end up close to that area, they will have to be linked. But right now they're not there. But it's foreseen that eventually the services would be extended to there, and the owner was advised, yes. For the reading of the resolution, Councillor Brideau. The council declared that the installation of the municipal sanitary sewer is not required to service the building proposed on the property identified under PID 704913994, located at 2158 Champlain Street, pursuant to Section 12 brackets B brackets 2 of Bylaw 8225, entitled, "A Bylaw Relating to Local Improvements and subject to the approval of the Department of Health of New Brunswick." I so move. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Nolan. For the question, Councillor Dallaire. Thank you, Your Worship. I was wondering if there are risks identified with approving a septic tank, And what are those risks? And are they minimal? It's difficult to comment on risk because it's the Department of the Environment that is responsible. Here we wanted their approval. And after the report was released, we received approval from the Department of the Environment. According to our future plans, do we have a year in mind for this sector to receive services? If you recall, the extension of the industrial park, aviation industrial park, sewer will be near that area. So probably in 4 or 5 years, as I recall. Yes, approximately. As we can tell that the present, Councillor Bevel. Thank you, Your Worship. What will be in this building? It's a wood mill that will be constructed, built. It'll be modern. And the Planning Commission will ensure that all conditions will be met as the municipality wishes. So there'll be modern installations which will respect the neighborhood. So there'll be water there, wastewater that will be used there. Well, we'll have to see the plans. I don't know if the urbanists have that, or the developers have that plan. It depends if there's employees in the building. There'll be toilets, etc. That was taken into consideration. And the developer came before the commission, the planning commission, for variations, and we've set terms and conditions. It's an old site that has been in business for many years, but we have set certain conditions as we spoke of in the past. One condition being that the access road be asphalted until the main street, and there'll be trees and shrubbery added near the residence, but the building is about 500 meters from the closest residence. So any smoke or effluence will be 500 meters away from the closest residence. And they received their permit from the Department of the Environment. So it's their responsibility to give them the permits necessary. So the wastewater will be going into the septic tank. It'll be a new septic tank, a new installation. So it will be in conformity with our standards. And it's important to note as well, I don't think it was mentioned, that the Planning Commission checked with the neighbors in the neighborhood because it's a little bit difficult for neighbors. There was a bit of they were not really satisfied with that. Yes, people came before us and gave us a lot of history and said that the conditions that we recommend for access or to limit the dust, etc., were accepted. We gave them the opportunity to express themselves because we do set variances. We asked them if they were against the conditions and there's a process of appeal respecting planning, so they're well aware of that. It seems to have gone very well during our meeting. We gave them information, but we inform people and we tell them that if they're against it, they can appeal this decision for a variance. Is it the municipality that ensures the water? I can check on that.
The water service goes to on Champlain to the limit of the town. That would be important for the sanitary sewers. They have to be connected on water. Or something to add to, we're talking about 5 employees, full-time, who should work on shift. So there should be enough flow. Is there a sprinkler system in the building? I can check because it's a commercial building. In the memorandum, they talk about the water sewer services topography. It's the sewer system that's not possible, so it's the water system that's used in the municipality. So, Mr. Frenette, you'll be able to come back with clarification. Councillor Godet, sorry, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. A couple of my questions have been answered by Councillor Bellevaux's questions, but I see that in the documentation you talked about the approval of the environment department, but in the text here we talk about subject to the health department. So have both, no, the comment was made by, no, I'm sorry. It's basically an engineering system. Has to be engineered and it has to be approved by the Department of Environment and of Health. And we give permits only once the permits have been issued. Yeah, there are some exceptions. The Department of Environment took into consideration that there is a water course right next to it. Yes, they're aware of the site. Okay. So you have the feeling that the people in the neighborhood are satisfied with the conditions? It seems to be the case. There is always the case of a call or an appeal, but I think the site has the proper zonage and it's been in operation for a couple of years, so we feel confident with our recommendations. I know that we received a lot of complaints in the past, but if we establish conditions in a new building, certainly it will appease some. So, thank you. Councillor Godet. Do we know if this new project eliminates construction structures or some type of buildings on the rest of the land? Unfortunately, I cannot really tell you, but according to the discussions, it's the possibility by the current owner to revitalize the site. There are some older buildings there who do not meet the requirements of modern technology, but the owner will be able to. And obviously, my main concern is what has just been raised, the long tradition of complaints and problems in the region with dust, surface waters, the creek. So I hope that you will take care and make sure that the problems are eliminated once and for all. Yes, just to clarify, there's certain powers that we have, and some other powers belong to the Department of Environment. It's their jurisdiction. So, okay, but try to do the best so that everything goes well. So that there was just a play on words there. Okay, thank you, Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. If I look at Annex A, the lot, the PID, the size of the lot stays the same. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, it's towards the end of the yard. It's approximately 105 acres. All right. No other questions? Those in favor? Signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. 10.4.3 Expropriation, New Municipal Water Source, Final Settlement, Land of John Mitten. Directive adopted at the closed council meeting on the November 24th. It's for tonight. It's a final payment for the land from John Mitten. PID 00833020. The city acquires the remainder of the property identified under 00330020, and the entire property is identified under PID 00928648, house and land, and explained the rest. The city purchases the property and the identified lot. Just like explained earlier, the city rents the house and the property is identified under these two PIDs to John Mitten and Faye Mitten for a maximum period of 10 years. The city pays a final disbursement of $445,000 plus HST, if applicable, to John Mitten. And the council approved the lease between the city of Dieppe and John Mitten and Faye Mitten for the rental of the house situated 1949 route number 134 in Lakeburn, New-Brunswick, and that council authorized that the costs related to the final payment for the lands expropriated from John Mitten be funded from account number mentioned before, and that puts a final conclusion to the purchase of this piece of land. And as a matter of fact, we take the opportunity to purchase more land on Shediac Road. This is for your approval here tonight again. Thank you. And that represents the last properties in question. Yes. For the reading of the resolution, Mr. Beliveau.
Vous êtes en voix? On attend la période de questions. OK. OK. Monsieur Ville.
Faut faire vite parce que ça a l'air qu'on s'est égaré avec beaucoup de choses.
Your Worship, that the council accept the following final payment for the land expropriated from John Mitten, land formerly identified under PID 00833020, as follows. The city acquires the remainder of the property identified under PID 00833020, and the entire property is identified under PIDs 009262868 house and land, and 008694438. The city rents the house and the properties identified on PID 009288648 and 008694438 to John Mitten and Faye Mitten for a maximum period of 10 years. The city pays a final disbursement of $445,000 plus HST, if applicable, to John Mitten. That council approved the lease between the city of Dieppe and John Mitten and Faye Mitten for the rental of the house situated in 1949 route number 134 in Lakeburn, New Brunswick, and that council authorized that the costs related to the final payment for the lands expropriated from John Mitten be funded from account number 4390587701, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, New Water Source Project. So moved, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Beliveau, seconded by Councillor Gaudette. On the question. No questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The resolution is adopted as presented. Next item. 10.5, expansion Dieppe. Following a recommendation of the Board of Directors expansion Dieppe that council accept a letter of support for submitting on behalf of the City of Dieppe for a research and innovation center in Dieppe. 24th of November last, that the meeting was adopted. The idea was to have the contribution of $50,000 per year for a period of 3 years, commencing in 2016. For the reading of the resolution, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. As recommended on September 3rd, 2014 by the Board of Directors Expansion Dieppe, the Council accept that a letter of support be submitted on behalf of the City of Dieppe towards the Research and Innovation Center in Dieppe, and accept also to guarantee a portion of the financing sought for this project, namely the amount of $50,000 per year for 3 years, commencing 2016. So moved. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor signified by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. A resolution is adopted as presented. Next item, 10.6. Appointments. Reading of appointments. We're going to trust Councillor Nolan. Thank you, Your Worship. The Council appoint the following persons for an additional term as members of the Planning Advisory Committee. Claudette Leblanc, 2-year term ending December 31st to 2016, and Louis H. Leblanc, 3-year term ending December 31, 2017. Thank you. Congratulations. Seconded by Councillor Cormier. On the resolution, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Resolution is adopted as presented. (11.1) Municipal Bylaws. Bylaw Z626, amending the municipal plan for Dieppe Boulevard and the Cobalt development. First and second reading by title. Councillor Cormier. Thank you, Worship. Bylaw number Z626, a bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe Municipal Plan bylaw. So moved, Your Worship. First reading, title. Seconded by Councillor Thibodeau on the question. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Bylaw Z626 is adopted in first reading. Second reading by title. Mr. Cormier, bylaw number Z626, a bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe Municipal Plan bylaw. So moved. Second reading by title. Moved. Second by Councillor Thibodeau on the question. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Bylaw is adopted in second reading. Now for 11.2, bylaw Z840, amending the zoning bylaw for the same project on Dieppe Boulevard and Cobalt development. First reading and second reading by title only.
Monsieur le conseiller Brideau.
Monsieur le maire,
Councillor Brideau. Bylaw number Z840, a bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. So moved. First reading by title. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Nolan on the question. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Bylaw Z840 adopted. First reading. Second reading by title only. Once again, Councillor Brideau. Bylaw number Z840, a bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. Second reading, title. So moved. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Nolan. On the question. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. So this bylaw is adopted in second reading by title, which brings us to the item number 12, notice of motion. I haven't been advised of any notices of motion, inquiries, and announcements by members of council. I believe that we start to my right with Councillor Leblanc.
Bonsoir, Monsieur le maire. Moi,
Councillor Leblanc, good evening. Good evening. I have nothing for tonight. Thank you. Councillor Brideau. Your Worship, just wanted to mention this morning I had the pleasure of being present at the launch of the Pride Week, Pride French Week at Monsieur Martin. Congratulate the classes of special projects that were rewarded for their painting of New Brunswick on silk paper with the help of the artist Emerise Leblanc Nolan, whom I would like to congratulate because she worked with this group of youth on a volunteer basis. And there was fantastic enthusiasm in the school this morning, and I wish that all our children in New Brunswick and everywhere else a fantastic week of French pride today. Thank you. Councillor Nolan, just wanted to tell the people that Friday was the National Day of Drinking and Driving. There were special operations on Friday night. There were 3 roadblocks, one in Dieppe, one in Moncton, and one in Riverview. So we have nice results, fewer people drinking and driving. If memory serves right, I think it's between 7 and 8 every week, special evenings roadblocks. So very good work from the people who worked. Councillor Dallaire, nothing tonight. Thank you. Councillor Godette. Your Worship, I would like to mention something about a new arrival from Burkina Faso in Dieppe. He's a strong man from Dieppe, lifting weights, and nobody can touch him. But I would like to congratulate him because he impresses me due to his commitment to teaching or to studying at the University of Moncton and also competing. So I would like to wish him luck for his competitions. Are we planning a sidewalk on Aucoin? I don't know if anybody remembers, if anybody has that information. We don't have that information. We can check it out and come back to you. It does pose a problem between l'Auberge du Soleil and the sidewalk and the walking trail on Dieppe Boulevard. The residents of the Auberge use the sidewalk and the walking trail, and some have slipped, and they have walkers and other type of apparatus to help them walk. So it's basically dangerous, and there have been injuries. So I think that should be part of the list of things to be considered. If it is not yet on the list, I would like to congratulate and thank the parents who came to a special consultation on the different options for a new school in Dieppe. I would like to thank the school council, Gilles Bourque, and all the staff who were involved in the research work for the presentation. Things were published, the options were published in the newspaper. And I want to mention that Donna Lacroix, whom we've known for a while as a singer and a fisherman, gave a concert at the caserne with the Jeunes Chanteurs de l'Acadie. We know that Donna is a former resident of Dieppe. He's one of the ones who named one of the streets, Rue des Copains, and he said it was his first concert at La Caserne, and I hope it's not his last. At every other Tuesday, there's a lunch for and by Francophone retards in the morning, breakfast at the Liglou. There's a conference on current affairs subject. Tomorrow morning is Dr. Aurel Schofield, who will be talking to us about the medical school progress and other connected subjects. We know that the medical school is affiliated with the Sherbrooke Medical School, which has brought much advantages to the region. So everyone is welcome. Every second Tuesday of the month at the Igloo. Oh, you caught me by surprise. I'm sorry. Thank you. Councillor Cormier. Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to congratulate the Ringuette U10 of Dieppe, who were in the final yesterday afternoon. So that means that one of the Dieppe teams won the competition. Congratulations to the young ones. Councillor Thibodeau. I was present for the draw for the FIFA teams, and I met Madame Lisette Galland, who's a citizen of Dieppe and who is the manager of the volunteers. She asked us if we could give her a hand for the recruitment of volunteers. I said that we could probably announce it in the next Dieppe mag, and that we could announce it also on our website. We'll give her. She gave me her card, and we can put her coordinates on the website. And I also went this morning to the unveiling of the poster for Francophone Pride Week, which is going to take place on the first week of March, or at least, if not the first week, I think the week terminates on the 20th of March. I'm not too sure of the dates. I'd also like to congratulate the young people who worked on this poster, because it really represents the talent of our students in Dieppe and the work that the teachers do with these youth to develop their talent. It was very pleasant to see this year that it is a group of special needs students who were chosen as the artists to work on the poster, because the theme this year for the provincial week is basically inclusion. So congratulations to all who worked on this project. Thank you, Councillor Thibodeau. Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. On Mr. Thibodeau's point, I will also suggest that maybe he contact with the volunteer center for the southeast. They'll have many people who want to help, that's for sure. So it could be this could probably be a good source of people. I think Councillor Dallaire, she didn't mention it, but she was at the annual event in commemoration of the 6th of December in Riverview. So thank you for having been there on behalf of Municipal Council. A very sad event, but there is and should be hope that we don't see anything like that occur again. And the last point, and it's because of the dates during the Christmas holidays, there's usually waste or household waste collect on the Fridays, but this year it's going to be the 26th of December. So are we going to be able to know if there will be collection? So it seems to me that on the 2nd of January, things go back to normal. So could we get that information and maybe publish it on the website or even announce it to make sure that people know that, yes, Your Worship, we are going to put the information on the website and we're going to circulate the information. We invite people to go onto the website to see the dates of collections, and then in January it'll be the Christmas tree collection. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Just a reminder: Friday night there is a gathering. Let's sing Christmas outside around the Arts and Culture Center. So everyone is welcome to join the different singing groups. So without further ado, good evening to all. And thank you for your active participation.